Please rise as we call together on this March 27th, our regular meeting. We'll begin with a short prayer and then a salute to our flag. I know everybody turned to face the flag first. I saw that. Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions in the best interest of all of our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and service to our nation. And may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to our flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Statement of publication, please, Jessica.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the Mayor and Borough Council being held this Monday, March 27, 2023, has been posted and advertised in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca.
Here.
Conti.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Noha. Nothing online. Roberts.
Here.
Zabrowski.
Here.
At this time, I'll ask for the approval of prior minutes of the mayor and council. I will look to my right over here. Councilwoman Novak, please, would you do me the honor?
Motion that the prior minutes as listed on the agenda be approved, subject to correction if necessary.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Balca.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, we do have one proclamation for water conservation as it is pouring outside. Conserve it, please. Whereas the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex and State of New Jersey continue to explore ways to manage residential consumption of water and power and to inspire its residents to care for natural resources. And whereas cities can engage in efforts to inspire their own communities as well as their neighboring cities to become better environmental stewards. And whereas the Wyland Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, is dedicated to promoting, protecting, and preserving the world's oceans, waterways, and marine life. Whereas the 12th Annual National Mayor's Challenge for Water Conservation presented by the Wyland Foundation with support from the US EPA WaterSense, the Turo Company, and the National League of Cities is a nonprofit challenge to residents to encourage pollution reduction and smart water use. And whereas with the encouragement of their mayors, residents may register their participation in their city's challenge online by making simple pledges to decrease their water use and to reduce pollution for the period of 1 year, thereby assisting their cities to apply state and federal water conservation strategies and to target mandated reductions. And now, therefore, I, Victoria Kilpatrick, Mayor of the Borough of Saraville, declares the Borough of Saraville's support for the Wyland Foundation Water Challenge for the month of April 2023 and urges all residents to continue to explore ways to conserve water and care for our oceans and natural resources. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion that the mayor's proclamation be approved on roll call vote.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak.
Yes.
Balca.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Christian just signed on. Okay, do we want to also, well, he just signed on, so he can't vote on the proclamation at this time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now moving forward. We do have need for executive session, but if it's okay with the council, I'd like to move that discussion to the end of our regular agenda meeting for the kind people that I have trudged through this water and hail. Is everybody in agreement with that? Okay, we'll move that executive session then until the end of this meeting. We're going to move forward then. We have no old business.
We have to appoint a public defender who, the one that we appointed declined.
Okay.
So the only other one that we received was Roselli and Roselli.
Okay, so then at this time, I'll make the appointment for Roselli and Roselli. Is there a second?
A motion.
A motion, I'm sorry.
Is there a second?
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balca.
Yes.
Conti.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Anoha.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'd also like to make an appointment to the redevelopment agency. We do have, I believe it's 2 openings on that particular board, or is it just the one? Is it just the one? I think I was looking at the online, but
All right, the only one is Frank.
okay. So at this time, I would like to appoint Phyllis Bacco to the redevelopment agency to fill Mr. Bella's spot. Is there a motion?
Make motion.
Is there a second?
What's that?
That was Ms. Balco. Councilman Balco. Is there a second? Okay, so without a second, then I guess motion fails, correct?
Correct.
All
Or
right. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Anoha?
we'd like to submit a second for Phyllis.
Okay, thank you. Then it does go to a roll call. I will ask before we move to roll call, I believe that there may potentially be a conflict with potentially Councilman Roberts, as I believe that there may be a complaint that you're involved in with Ms. Balco. I'll defer over to the attorney in this circumstance. Would it be the advice of,
So ultimately, Donna, vote for it. That's going to be your decision. But, certainly if there's litigation going on between two different parties, that could rise to the level of a conflict.
And would my vote be nullified if that was the case?
No, your vote wouldn't be nullified, but you could be challenged for an ethical violation if it does in fact rise to the level of a conflict.
And what is the consequence of that?
Well, it would be something that the local finance board would take up, and typically there's fines involved. It's not criminal. But yeah, I mean, it's something that you'd have to go before the local finance board and it's for hearing, to plead your case. That's just something where you get the edict, you get to contest the representation if you choose. Then you could explain through your representation during that process whether you think it is or it isn't. But I'm just looking at the 30,000-foot view. Typically, when two people are suing each other, they're involved in some,
I'm not suing her.
or no, if it's some court issue or it's an adversarial issue, it could be perceived as a conflict.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you later.
an ethics violation if found?
If
If-
it's determined, first of all, if somebody complains about it, second of all, if it is determined that it was a conflict, then you would be potentially liable for a fine, perhaps.
Would there then
That
also
stays
be
on
a
your political
conflict
record.
serving on the same board?
Sorry?
Would there also be a conflict serving on the same board? Because I am on SERA.
She is on
So that's even worse.
Well, no, but you're not, I mean, the fact that you're on the board, it would be the same thing if somebody up here in the governing body and you had a dispute with them. I mean, that's not the conflict that you're serving on the same board. The conflict would be that you're taking action for or against somebody that you may have some other dispute or legal activity happening.
That would not be the case for my choice for that vote, whether there was a conflict or not. But how do I present that?
If you want to go forward and vote.
No.
You want to go forward and vote. I'm not the local finance board. I'm not here saying it's absolutely a conflict because I don't know all the facts. But it's possibly a conflict. So if you go forward and you vote, somebody complains about it and you go before the local finance board.
Can we possibly table this vote until I can get an answer or a recommendation for my point of view before I take an action?
You can ask for,
Then I request that we table this vote.
A table is up to the mayor.
Mhm. in
Um,
terms of whether or not you're going to go forward and have a vote on it.
Well, we do have a motion and a second on the tables, on the dais here, so I would, on the nomination, so I would like to move forward with that.
Why wouldn't we find out the situation, the background and the ramifications before? Why rush it?
Well,
Concerned
for
knowing
somebody
why
that
would we want to
has
post-
argued that my appointments have to be made quick, swiftly, in reference to zoning boards and other boards, I'm surprised that we're now taking this pause. Me personally, that's up to Councilwoman Roberts to determine whether or not she feels comfortable voting. She can abstain if she wishes to at this point.
I feel somewhat disenfranchised at this point.
I don't know what the current situation is regarding your litigations or concerning your complaints, so.
Know How,
Is there definitely a suit?
it's a mediation right now.
I don't know why we would want to even consider appointing her if she's suing somebody that's on the board. That would have a problem with all the votes in Sarah.
So anyway, I feel comfortable in moving forward with the vote at this point. So if it's up to my decision, then I think it's important. The redevelopment agency right now has many things before it. If you recall, many people that have watched here in the past, I tried to put pause to at least 2 redevelopment agency appointments, and those were forced through. I'm still waiting to find out if those were even appointments that were appropriate. So in reference to this, the conflict is only with potentially Councilwoman Roberts, and I do think that we should move forward with that vote. Just like the council moved forward with the votes that I was concerned about from a legal perspective. So I'm ready to move forward. So roll call then? Roll call it is.
Falca,
Yes.
Conti,
No.
Novak.
No, I mean, I really have a problem with this. I kept hearing about all problems with, people all belonging to a same group or something. And here we want to appoint the sister of the chairman of Sarah to Sarah, his sister. I vote no. I mean, between the fact that she's got a lawsuit against somebody on Sarah, she is the sister of the chairman of Sarah. I think there's a lot of problems with that, so my vote's no.
Anoha,
I'm going to vote yes for now. A lot of the information brought up, hasn't really, it seems more like speculation, not really as clear, and not anything that I really saw from the application standpoint. But if there's an understanding that it's a problem for all of us as a board to vote, then maybe I would revisit my decision. But for now, given, the information that I consider to be factual so far, I'm going to vote a yes for now. Thank you.
Roberts,
Put yourself in that position.
How long is this appointment for?
Well, Frank took somebody's place and now she'll be taking Frank's. Who knows anymore?
Because I'm going to be on for some period of time.
I think that he was replacing, was it Tom Palando? I think he was replacing Tom Palando.
yeah, but I don't know the year that.
I don't know either.
Maybe 24, but no. I mean, I can go look in the office.
It might even expire this July. I don't know.
It
No?
does. It does.
Okay. July 24th.
Do you want me to get that information?
Would you please?
Do you still need that information after receiving your text?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Please.
yes.
This one here,
Mhm.
we have to discuss.
Okay, sounds good. You know what, in thinking about a time period here, believe the complaint was probably made prior to you even taking office on the redevelopment agency, since I think it has more to do with political signage. So, just saying. I wish we had this much debate over some of the other appointments that have gone on within this agency. Just a quick question, since there was so much concern and discussion and the idea for pause. Is anybody up on the council willing to turn around and revisit then the appointments that I had questioned on the redevelopment agency of Councilman Delina, former Councilman Delina, and what was that other appointment? I think there were two appointments, but one,
I think it was Frank's, wasn't it?
yeah, I think it was Frank's.
God,
Does anybody want to readdress those, since we wanted to turn around and pump the brakes and make sure that everything was okay? Councilman Conti, did you want to take a look at whether or not the appointment of Councilman Delina? Oh, no, I'm talking about I'm talking about the former councilman. It's up in July.
Yep.
This July,
This July.
this July, then it will be over and we'll need a reappointment.
Correct.
And can I ask the attorney again, how long would a investigation or determination need to be if someone had indicated a conflict?
Request the advisory opinions are pretty easy to request, but 30 to 60 days, I think, something like that.
So in 30 to 60 days, if I choose to vote now, in 30 to 60 days, would that vote be overturned?
And then if somebody files an ethics violation.
Yeah, so your vote wouldn't be overturned unless they found that there was a conflict.
Okay.
And obviously that your vote was important in the outcome. But again, the ethics violation possibility, if they determine that you had a conflict at the time that you voted. And I just think the more I'm sitting here thinking about it, I don't know the whole story, but if you're in some type of a legal adversarial situation, it's probably a conflict.
Would
So, I
her,
just make a statement that because of that, the workability factor of being on a board can be a challenge, as you can imagine. So if I were to vote, it would make a difference on this board because I believe it would. It wouldn't be because I wouldn't have. a vote.
can I ask a question just for clarification? In the event that, let's say, a ethics violation is in fact filed by a resident or any individual within the town regarding a potential conflict that Councilman Roberts has, and she proceeds to vote, the vote is wrong, or the vote denies that person the opportunity to serve on this board, would there be potential issues in reference to the redevelopment agency and moving forward with votes and the appointment of somebody else?
No, so you're saying if Donna chooses not to vote?
No, if Donna chooses to vote.
No, because I think by the time, if somebody files a complaint, it'll be here by July, will be here in short order, and you're gonna have another opportunity to vote for a successor.
Okay, what about action taken on that board
No,
in the
because-
meantime?
Um,
So if somebody else was appointed within that time, we're under the assumption that an ethics violation would be filed tomorrow. There's a possibility an ethics violation could be filed at any time. So in the event that the ethics violation is upheld and that it's found that there was in fact a conflict and somebody else was appointed to that particular position, would that then be potentially a problem for any votes that were made by the individual that was put into that place?
Yeah, the local finance board could invalidate decisions that were made by CIRA if they determine that the individual was appointed improperly.
Only if
Well, that
that,
could
if
be
it was
part
a
of-
unanimous vote, though, what difference would it make?
Well, that's something that you would have to turn around and assume that you already know what the votes are going to be on the redevelopment agency.
I'm just saying, I'm asking the question. I mean, it would not make a difference if it was unanimous vote, only if that vote made a difference any final determination.
I don't think anybody, that makes sense what you're saying. However, at the same time, I don't know how we can't really put ourselves in the shoes of the local finance board. Because they are a group of individuals, volunteers who get together once a month and look at an agenda and read over different cases. Do they have the ability to say everything Sierra has done for the last month is null and void? They do have that. Logically, Mary, what you're saying makes sense. If Sierra is a team that all seem to vote in the same way, they don't need her vote. Somebody would argue that it shouldn't be overturned. That would be a logical conclusion. I would agree with you, but we're not speaking for Sierra because they're an autonomous body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sarah, I'm speaking for myself right now for my ability to cast a vote, which was known before the nomination was made, obviously. Because the mayor did state that she made a nomination knowing that there might be a conflict to put me in this position.
No, I just want to make sure that any vote that's made here is under full disclosure and transparency. Since I had heard that this was a potential issue, that's why I deferred over to the attorney. Appointments need to be made, and in this situation, I wanted to make sure, Councilwoman Roberts, that you were given at least advice. The last thing I would want to do is to have anybody on our council put into an ethical conundrum. So my reason for asking it was really just to make sure that you were aware
I
of
don't
that.
think it was your reason for asking. I think it was the nomination itself. So
I've made this
thank you,
nomination
Sean,
before and
for
it's
your-
failed. I don't care if it fails or not. I personally appoint the people that I think are best to serve. One thing that I know of Phyllis Bacco is that A, she served as a council person. B, she served on the Board of Education. And C, she is definitely an individual that is not part of either a Democratic standing position or a Republican standing position. I know that she does not turn around and kowtow to any political person, party, or boss. And that's why I have 2 times attempted to make Phyllis Bacco's appointment. Her relationship as far as her brother being the chairperson, if you've been following, you know, I am not going to appoint somebody that is in the back pocket of the chairman of that board, considering I removed the chairman of that board from the mayor's position on the planning board because I didn't feel that he was operating in good faith in reference to the residents. So there's no way that you can turn around and tell me that Phyllis Bacco is going to turn around and follow her brother's opinions. What I find interesting, though, is the idea that this board may be just going along with the flow. I like different opinions.
And Frank Bella did provide that
Yep.
position and that
God.
insight, and he will be.
God rest
greatly
his
missed.
soul. He came up here. I was not comfortable with Frank Bella, and I put him to the challenge. He got the appointment. And he came up and he attacked and he was angry because I was not supportive of him because I still thought Phyllis Bacco was a better choice. And when he got up here and he spoke, I said, Mr. Bella, you have been appointed. You have won this seat. Prove me wrong and prove the residents wrong. I have come to appreciate Frank in the short time that he served on the redevelopment agency. We've actually spoken quite a few times. It hurts me that he's no longer with us, but I think that this appointment could turn around and continue in that legacy of standing up for what's right for the town. It still goes before you though, Councilwoman Roberts. What would you like to do?
Well, let me just comment though. You've got the chair of the planning board on here who's got far less baggage than anyone here and no controversy surrounding him. And you could see the controversy with Ms. Batko. There is none with Barry Mueller. And if you're going to go with that logic, honestly, he should have been your choice.
Barry Mueller was my choice and he serves on the planning board.
Yeah, I know he's on the planning board. He's also listed here as having a Sarah application in.
I think he's more valuable on the planning board. I like Barry Mueller very much. As a matter of
I
fact, he
don't-
was
he
my
doesn't need to
appointment.
be, what, he gets removed from the planning board if you put him on Sarah?
I do think that when you have the same people, whether or not it's allowed, I think that when you have a person on the redevelopment agency and the planning board, that does pose a problem because they're basically potentially approving their own votes. So I still think that former Councilwoman Batco, former Board of Education member Batco serves this position well. And I think that the town deserves to have as many opinions as possible on a board, not one that is serving in dual roles. And I absolutely 100% support Mr. Mueller. I appointed him to the planning board. But I don't think it's appropriate for one individual to serve in both capacities.
Sean, what's your opinion on that?
Go ahead.
Yes, the reason would be that somebody serving on the planning board is making the decision based on the testimony that comes before the board. So the planning board members aren't authorized to go out and do extracurricular fact finding. So I'm assuming that if you're sitting on CIRA, you're going to be privy to information that you might not be privy to if you're on the planning board. So
We have almost unanimously, since we have had Sarah, had a member of the planning board on there. Are all of those votes that have been taken all of these years, something wrong with them? Oh, okay. So there is nothing wrong with a member of the planning board being on Sarah.
no, I don't believe so.
Just my
I would
opinion.
have
I
to-
didn't say there was anything
Yeah.
wrong with
Okay,
it.
I just-
That's my opinion.
I'm talking generally about why it might not make sense to have individuals serving on both. I haven't had a chance to look at the CIRA ordinance as we sit here to see if it's prohibited, but I would say it's not. But it might make sense not to have individuals on both boards for the reason I said.
But thank you for asking me for my opinion as far as why I made the appointment that I did. And like I said, I talked to Mr. Mueller often. I shouldn't say often. I talked to him, a good amount of times. And I love the work that he's doing on the planning board. I think he does a great job. But I also think Ms. Balk is going to do an amazing job on the redevelopment agency if she so gets appointed. So we're still waiting. I believe that we're still waiting on Councilwoman Roberts' decision.
And if I can ask the attorney, if I do abstain, can I add my opinion, which is not a vote?
Or you can make your opinion and then cast your vote, which might be an abstention.
My opinion is that Ms. Batko would not be a suitable selection. She would not be my vote. Would I vote in this? At this stage, I am disappointed that my vote is being disenfranchised here. And because there is possible litigation or mediation in front of me, I will reluctantly abstain.
Roski.
I abstain without comment.
You have 2 yeses, 2 nos, and 2 abstentions.
So does that come to me then? So ladies and gentlemen, I very happily and proudly appoint Phyllis Batko to serve on the redevelopment agency for the term as noted for expiration in July of 2023. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to new business then. Introduction of the following ordinances. Jess.
Ordinance number 05-23, an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 12 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville to amend section 12-1.3 construction fees.
At this time, this only introduction, so I'll turn this over to the Planning Zoning Committee. Council President Anoha, please.
Hello, thank you so much, Mayor. Do you mind if I defer to the second chair, as I'm not be available to do it at this exact?
Can you speak up? I can't.
He just asked if he can defer to the second chair to read for the motion because he doesn't have the paper in front of him. Second chair is Donna.
I just moved the ordinance.
Yep.
That's it, it's introduction.
Approved on first reading, advertised according to law, and public hearing to be held on April 10th.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Roberts,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Anoha,
Yes.
Zabrowski, sorry.
Yes.
Ordinance number 06-23, an ordinance supplementing and amending ordinance number 435-19, fixing the salaries of certain borough officials, officers, and employees for the year 2023.
Once again, I'll defer over to Administration and Finance Committee. Councilman Balco.
Move the ordinance be adopted on first reading, advertised according to law, and a public hearing be held on April 10th, 2023.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts. Zabrowski.
Yes.
Ordinance number 7-23, an ordinance amending chapter 17 Parks and Recreational Areas to delete subsection 17-2 Borough Bathing Facilities of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Saraville.
I move the ordinance be approved, excuse me, be approved on first reading, advertised according to law for a public hearing to be held on April 10th prevailing time.
Second.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Zabrowski.
All right, at this time, we're going to move on to our resolutions. I'll open to the public for any and all comments relating to the resolutions that are listed on the agenda. Please come forward or raise your hand online. Seeing none, I see none online. Do you see any online? I see none online or in person.
The public portion be closed and the resolutions approved on roll call vote. Excuse me.
Table that.
Okay.
We do have to talk on the one.
Yeah, we have to.
Table 2023-75.
Just discussing whether you want to table it or not. It could take a
Let's,
minute.
let's take a look at 2023-75. I'll defer over to our business administrator for comment on that particular resolution.
2023-75 was to authorize RFPs for the continuation of emergency medical transport services. On review of the contract document, we have the opportunity to renew that agreement through the end of 2024 based on the initial contract. And if there's no objections from the council, it would be my recommendation just to extend that through 24. I did have the opportunity to check with the police department and with Mr. Thomas from the emergency squad. I did not have an opportunity to speak to the Morgan squad, but I've had no reports of shortcomings in the performance of that contract, and it would be my recommendation to continue it to its end.
Council, do we have any objection to that? Councilman Zabrowski.
No objection.
Okay.
Can we just pull this or does it have to be a tabling motion? Sean?
You should table it if you're going
Okay.
to take it off the agenda.
Okay, I make a motion to table 2023-75.
Is there a reason to table?
Yeah, because we're just gonna renew the
Oh, I
contract.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I apologize, Mayor. If
I
it's-
thought maybe we could just pull it.
Yeah. So at this point, we would table and then just turn around and move forward with.
With the rest.
Recommendation of the business administrator.
Mhm.
Okay, wonderful. So is there a second for that table then? Donna, okay, we need a roll call for that.
Novak,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enoha,
This is literally to table and approve at the same time, or
But just to table right now, Chris.
just to table 2023-75.
okay, yes.
Roberts, Zabrowski.
Yes.
Now I make a motion to close the public portion and approve all of the other resolutions on roll call vote.
Do we need to also approve correspondence at this time, or we're just going to close the resolution? Okay, is there a second on that then?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts, Zabrowski.
Yes.
Okay, now can I have a motion, please, to accept correspondence as listed on the agenda?
I make a motion to receive and file all the correspondence as listed under the agenda, A, B, and C.
Thank you very much. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts, Zabrowski.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move forward with our mayor and council reports, administration and finance. To start us off, Councilman Balca.
Been busy with budget, which is going to be introduced today, 4.5% increase. There's a couple big increases that are out of our control, like pensions, debt service, and insurances.
Mhm.
We have 2 unsettled contracts, so we got to be a little cautious in budgeting for them too. So other than that, progress.
Thank you very much for that. Public safety, Councilwoman Roberts, please.
Public safety, let me just start my report with recognizing Frank Bella's contribution. Frank was a Saraville resident for 40 years and was involved in borough government for much of the past 3 decades. He was an EMT for the Saraville Emergency Squad. He also served on the Saraville Planning Board in addition to being a former councilman. Bella was the office manager for American Pile Driving Equipment, where he worked since 2006. Prior, he was the facility manager at Albert Einstein College of Medicine. He earned his master's in public administration. And our condolences, or my condolences, go to his wife, Anna Marie, and his 3 children, Anthony, Rebecca, and Adriana. He will be missed.
At this time, can we ask for a moment of silence after, at this time, I will ask all in attendance and at home to please give us a moment of silence in honor and memory of Mr. Frank Bella. Thank you for that. And thank you, Frank, for your service to our town for decades upon decades upon decades.
I am transitioning off of environmental, but I'm looking forward to having the community garden get set up and have a patch there. Public safety highlights, there will be an annual rabies clinic Saturday, May 6th from 9 to 12 at the Public Works. And because many people have been asking about some of the enforcement activities in the municipal court, we have 34 parking and 575 moving complaints that are docketed. And the disposed complaints at the municipal court, we had 27 parking and 460 moving violations that were disposed. Highlights for the fire department, 64 fire department incidents. I know they've listed them independently, but I grouped them all together. So 64 incidents, 17 responses to fires, and 341 various inspections by the Fire Prevention Agency. I do want to let everyone know that the entry-level civil service test registration is April 1st, due by April 1st. There are links on the New Jersey Civil Service website for anyone that's interested, and the police department will be putting out a borough blast on that. I do want to let everyone know, and I know Councilman Conti reported on this at our last meeting when he was still public safety, that the Pulse program is working out very well. Having the social workers follow up has been very successful. They've been very responsive, providing resources and points of contact as needed. And we will have more detailed reporting as this new program evolves. It's brand new, it's in its infancy and is showing a lot of promise. So all good there. Also currently in progress is the Adult Police Academy. What that is an information-based program for adults who are interested in an overview of law enforcement on a daily basis. They're exposed to traffic enforcement, investigation, evidence processing, patrol operations, and they get to have access to the county firearms training simulator. And the acronym is FATS, F-A-T-S. So that is another very successful program that'll be winding up. And the lactation pod that was voted on previously is in use and will be having more use at the police department. And Mayor, if I could ask you at this time, if you would please introduce our scholarship.
Yes, I'm glad you reminded me. I was going to do it a little bit for, I'm always last to go. But
I just wanted to remind you.
yes, no, if you like, we can do that right now, as a matter of fact, because this is language arts teachers love here. Okay, beautiful essays. So we do officially have now our our one winner for the Lewis Bay Second Future Municipal Leaders Scholarship Competition. Before us, there is one winner with 2 honorable mentions, and I do want to thank Councilman Roberts because I know this was something that you had also headed up, and also to our essay readers. Who were our essay readers that went through?
I'm going to say Nicole had hand.
Thank you. I know what that's like. I do it for a living, so it's always very difficult to turn around and choose the best. when also, so thank you so much for that.
Good, there's no red ink on that copy.
There's no red ink on this copy. I use purple when I can. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, I am very, very proud to announce that our winning entry this year is going to Leah Whitaker. Congratulations to you, Leah. Leah is also one of the individuals here that works in our internship program. And she also spoke at the Board of Education meeting, I believe, last Tuesday, in order to let the town and let the Board of Education know as students what it's been like to work in our intern program. So extremely excited and proud of Leah for everything that she's done. We also have 2 honorable mentions as well. We have Usman Muhammad, thank you very much, and Daniel Henry as well. So I'd like to just take a moment, give them a round of applause. Extremely, extremely proud of really our young residents here in this town. They're really stepping up in order to show how much they love Saraville and how much they want to be involved. So I look forward to what wonderful things they'll continue to do. Again, Councilwoman Roberts, thank you for spearheading a lot of this and bringing this up to the forefront. So job well done. You're very welcome.
There is one other thing I'd like to add. It's really a question from my point of view. I am now moved to a new committee. And I understand that Municipal Alliance Safe has vaping programs for 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. And we had just passed an ordinance about the vaping in Saraville and licensing that. And in the ordinance, it does state that the licensing fees would be used for programs like this. So can we see that those monies go to this program? They have been hit hard during the pandemic with reduction in their support. So I think that's a great place that they can gain revenue.
That's something, is there a way that we can turn around and do that? No, that's not how it works.
I will double check with the auditor, but I don't believe so. The fees and everything come into the borough's revenue account. I can inquire and see if we can do what is known as a dedication by rider. I'm not sure that the state would approve it, but I will look into it for you.
Okay, thank you, because it did explicitly state that in the ordinance that that's what the monies would be used for. So if you could follow up, I would appreciate it.
Yes, that would be good. We did just recently have a vaping orientation with the middle school students. It's really terrible, I have to say, because you don't realize how many of our young people are in essence targeted in reference to the marketing and the way that this product is really being put out there to the public, everything from the Gorilla Vapes to the bubblegum flavors and everything. It really is targeting our young people. And we're seeing this issue within our schools. By the time you reach the high school, I know my own daughters are in there and you can't even walk into the bathrooms because, you know, back when I went to school, it was coming out and you're smelling like cigarette smoke. The vaping products, they're just as problematic and just as much of a worry. So I'm really proud of this council. I'm proud to have been a part of doing something for the good of the children here and eliminating additional vaping shops from being allowed to open. We'll deal with the ones that we have, but this is really, really concerning.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anything else? As I sign that particular resolution right now for Polson.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do have an update on Sarah. For transparency. Let me just get my notes. Sorry, just. Okay. So we did have a presentation at Sarah from Trammell Crow, the redevelopers of the Hercules redevelopment area. They updated the commissioners and the public regarding the access road, which would be basically known as the Washington Road bypass. The Hercules redevelopment plan and agreement requires that the bypass road be constructed before Trammell can build the next phase of warehouses on the site. The purpose of the bypass is to divide the movement of trucks between Cheesequake and Journey Mill Road. The Sarah commissioners also approved an amendment for the billboard lease at Riverton to require the developer to continue to pay rent for that billboard, even if they need to demolish the sign to make way for the Bass Pro Building. And the other thing I thought was interesting in that contract was that the billboard that goes up would not be a digital billboard, because if they're going to do a digital billboard, that means that we would have more revenue because we would have more messaging going there. So it's going to be just for a single billboard. I thought that was just an interesting change in that particular industry that our attorney had caught, so that we could make sure that we are getting the revenue from all of the marketing income should that happen. I think that's it. Mary, did you have, you might have some for your updates.
Thought In case anybody wants, these are what the proposals for the Blackfish Road were. Two were eliminated entirely. I'll leave it out in the back if anybody wants to see it. The red, they're all different colors. The red road is totally eliminated because of the amount of wetlands. The blue road in its current construction, it's too close to a switch. It would make it too dangerous for both the train engineer to bust it out. And so these two were left in, and perhaps one more thing where it's a combination of the purple and the blue. So if anybody wants to know, these are the all ultimate dates for that.
They're still,
Can I
still
ask-
working that out.
Can I ask you just for an update on the redevelopment agency very quickly? I noticed that I appreciate the thorough reporting that we get from both Mary and from Donna. However, it's been brought to my attention that there was no move from 308 to council chambers in order to conduct that meeting. While I appreciate holding up a map that's on 8.5 by 11-inch paper, difficult to see, not something that residents were easily going to be able to have access to because it was not a Zoomed meeting. We have the TVs here that would have probably very easily been able to project those maps. Can I ask why the redevelopment agency chose not to move into borough chambers in order to have their meetings for the interests of our residents, interests as transparency?
Well, first of all, we find room 308 very, very convenient. Both the planning board and the zoning board meet in here, and their meetings aren't hybrid.
We should move to have planning board and zoning board meetings hybrid as well. Please reach.
I talked to Tom Bracken. He said it's in the budget to equip 310 and 308 this year. So it'll be the same as borough council chambers, but we don't have enough people trained to operate it. And anybody at any meeting can set up, it can be done with just a laptop and set up a Zoom.
So right.
It's not necessary to meet in here.
So right now, we have all the technology needed in this room in order to operate Zoom hybrid meetings for planning and zoning. So planning and zoning, as you heard, is conducted here. Our business administrator, can you please reach out and let planning and zoning know that I would like to see them hybrid? Does anybody here on the council have objection? And I'm actually, well, it was shared with me on social media. It was shared with me via actually a phone call and an email. The chairman of the redevelopment agency has made it very clear that he does not answer to the council and mayor in reference to where he will hold his meetings. And he especially does not answer to this mayor. Well, that may be. But he has a responsibility to answer to the residents of this town. The fact that he doesn't recognize the mayor's position or the council, I asked this council at the previous meeting, if anyone had objection with the redevelopment agency conducting their meetings here in a hybrid fashion, so that way we can see what's going on. No one on this council objected. No one objected.
Isn't it covered in the minutes?
No one objected.
State law does regulate the SARA. Matter of fact, our own council has said that state law supersedes anything we say up here. So state law says they can meet wherever they want to. They don't even have to meet in Borough Hall.
Just
Not
because
that they want to
can
do that.
doesn't mean they should.
Mayor,
You're not
it's the same
saying,
thing with your
excuse me, I'm
appointments.
speaking. Just, so you're proving a fact.
Proving of what?
That means that the chairman and the commissioners of the redevelopment agency are not being stopped from holding their meetings in person and holding their meetings via hybrid in the sunlight. They are choosing to hold their meetings in room 308, the smallest room that we have for any public meeting.
No, 310 is, Mayor. 310 is the smallest room. There's absolutely no.
We could, listen, if you want to sit there and divert the attention and try and pivot about what room is bigger or not, I've sat in both of them. If you think that 308 is a more conducive environment, you can't even move. But that doesn't negate the fact that I don't care whether it's 308 or 310. This is the forum that those meetings should be held.
Again, Mayor.
This is the forum.
Madam Mayor,
Do not have the
if I may.
people trained to run
Madam
the
Mayor.
equipment at the meetings. What difference
They're
does
going to
it
need to
make?
be trained according to you within the next couple of months anyway. But we have enough people to turn around and run that meeting because when we had COVID, they were running their meetings that way anyway. So don't
We can
tell
do
me,
that. We can do that
Yep.
right now, Mayor. We don't have to meet in here to do that.
what is, can I
Yep.
ask? So we're in love with room 308?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Ma-
Where
ma-
you
ma-
can,
ma-
I'm
Madam Mayor,
sorry, Council
if I
President,
may-
go
if I
ahead.
may. Yeah,
Go
yes,
ahead.
ma'am. I'm even deeply grateful, because I was gonna touch on this during my portion of the report if possible. I did receive some information from a few residents on this, and from my understanding, the board leaders for Sarah specifically don't have an issue transitioning to the council chambers for their meetings. However, they're just of the belief that planning and zoning should prioritize that transition ahead of them, as they believe that planning and zoning are more, I guess, quote unquote, powerful and should be the leaders transitioning towards that layer of transparency before they follow suit. So that was the knowledge I've received so far. It's not that they're against transitioning, but hopefully if the BA could, assist a bit further to see how that transition can be more effective, so it doesn't take this long. But overall, I don't believe that they have been opposed to transitioning to the council chambers. However, they just believe that the planning board and the zoning board should transition first and show that leadership towards transparency ahead.
This is ridiculous. I'm sorry, Council President, I appreciate your statements. This is ridiculous. The planning board, the zoning board should be hybrid. The redevelopment agency should be hybrid. Done. I am going to ask right now, because apparently the chairman of the redevelopment agency has been speaking publicly in social media forums. So I am going to make it very clear, and I'm going to put it on the record. I'm going to ask my attorney here. I would like to make this a vote.
It doesn't matter.
Excuse me, Councilwoman Novak. I do appreciate the fact that you have apparently received your law degree, but I'm going to defer over to the attorney. And I'm going to ask, I'm frustrated. Okay? The redevelopment agency, the planning board, and the zoning board. I want it on the record. Those boards need to be held public in the sunlight. They need to be Zoomed and in hybrid situation for the interest and transparency of our town. How do I turn around and make it clear to all of those boards? Because again, the redevelopment agency chairman has made it clear he doesn't answer to the council and especially this mayor. Whether or not this even holds any weight, I want to know officially where the rest of this council feels this needs to be. So do we ask for a motion?
Yeah, I mean, you can ask for a motion to determine where they're going to meet if they're meeting on governmental property. I had some emails back and forth with the chairman. I believe it was the chairman. And he was saying to me via email, assuming it was him because it was an email, that he can meet wherever he wants. And I said, yeah, I agree with you. You're an independent agency. However, if you're going to meet on municipal property, then it's up to the mayor and the council to determine what room is to be used. They can't go and have a meeting in the men's room if that's where they decide to have it. They have to have it because you're the council and the mayor, you're in control of the municipal property. It's
Okay.
very easy.
Okay, so this is very simple then. Between the committees here, the Planning and Zoning Board, and the redevelopment agency that utilizes our borough buildings, we have the ability as a governing body here to determine what room they are to meet in. And the hybrid component to that as well. So I would like somebody, can I make that motion and then just ask for a second?
I would ask one of the members.
One of the members of the
council.
governing body. So I'm going to ask somebody from the governing body to make a motion that the planning board, the zoning board, and the redevelopment agency, if they continue to choose to use borough buildings, to hold their meetings in council chambers using Zoom and hybrid as soon as possible. And I'm going to defer over to my business
The one thing,
administrator.
I'm sorry to interrupt, is the fact that they're independent. They can probably decide on their own whether they want to be
Okay,
virtual or hybrid. You know, they're independent, so they can decide how much technology they want to use. Obviously, they have to comport with the Open Public Meetings Act, but that's something that
that
they
would
would
be
do.
for the redevelopment agency, but for planning and zoning, we can turn around and tell them that that needs to be hybrid.
I agree.
Okay, so we're going to do this then in two separate motions. The reason why is because the redevelopment agency does have a slightly different little caveat to their rules under state law.
Okay.
So we're going to start with. You may want to make the distinction that one-sided applicants must appear in person. Yes, that stipulation we will make. Thank you very much. So I'm going to ask if anybody on the council would be so bold.
I'd
As
be
ma-
glad to make that motion, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Council
What
President.
exactly is
So
the
let me
motion?
just,
What's the motion?
let me ask. This is what I would feel is appropriate.
Oh, so
and then
you're
see-
telling him what the motion is?
Well, okay, go ahead. Mayor, if you want to turn around and try and make this like this is some kind of talking head situation.
No, he
Council-
said he made the motion, and I said, well, exactly what is the motion? Because we're all going to be asked to vote on something. We don't know exactly what the
Yep.
motion.
So the motion so far is for the planning board, the zoning board, and the economic redevelopment agency to conduct their meetings within council chambers, assuming they're using borough property. Specifically for the economic redevelopment agency, specifically for the planning and zoning, they'll be using the hybrid components. And for Sarah, yet to be determined according to their official determination and capacity.
Council President, if you wouldn't mind, just one of the things, and I don't know if you heard me, I did just ask the attorney. My thought was to break it up into two separate motions because the redevelopment agency has some statutory language. So if we start with just the planning and zoning, because we actually could have control over that board, both of those
Okay.
boards, asking for the planning board and the Board of Adjustments to meet in council chambers, which they already do, and to hold their meetings hybrid. And I would like to thank the business administrator for just asking to have this one asterisk put in place, that making the distinction that once hybrid, applicants must appear in person, because we don't want to have the applicants just be as. So if you're okay with it, I would like to turn around and break the motion up into two pieces, and then we'll address the redevelopment agency because of their statutory language. Are you
Understood.
amenable to that?
I'm even grateful. Thank you. I am.
In this case, is he allowed to say so moved?
He's making the motion. You
Okay,
need a second.
you would need a second then.
So technically, my motion is for the first layer for planning and zoning, really.
That is correct. If you're
Okay.
okay with that.
I am. And
Okay.
I'd like to continue that motion then.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
For planning and zoning. Thank you.
Thank you for planning and zoning. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Zanoha,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
No, I'm a no. I don't want to force this on them.
You don't want to force the hybrid?
No, I don't want to force it. I want them to, I don't want to make a motion to force this. I want them to make the determination as to what they're going to do and when. And I don't
Yeah.
want to I don't want to force it as a requirement.
The planning board and the zoning board are boards. Okay, that's fine. They're already conducting their meetings here, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
he wants to force lack of transparency on the residents.
Yeah, that's okay. His vote stands.
Novak.
We're saying that they have to do it hybrid, but they have not been trained in doing that. So to say we're going to make a motion to force them to do something they're not trained in seems.
That is not true. For planning and zoning, that's not true.
Excuse me.
He serves on the planning board.
For planning and zoning, that isn't true. We have hybrid component, we have the Zoom components, but it's not in a hybrid capacity. So
Because
there's a difference for that.
at the meetings.
COVID.
that
They,
can-
they did it all through COVID, Mayor. They did it all through COVID. So someone's trained.
Yes, Nicole.
Yeah.
So Nicole will have to be paid overtime to attend all of these meetings.
Well, I think that
That's not
Nicole
true. We
can
also have a
train.
secretary. We also, planning also has a second, it doesn't have to be Nicole per se. So again, this is specifically for planning and zoning.
Tom Bracken can do it. Did Tom train you? But Tom can do it. Is our IT guy, and there's two of them now. So I think we have two IT guys that are more than capable to turn around and train the individuals needed.
You can use Zoom on a cell phone. This isn't rocket science training we're speaking of here.
They don't have to meet here. According to Tom, anybody can turn their phone on and do a Zoom meeting.
Right, but when we do meet here and yet no one turns their phone on for a Zoom meeting, hopefully you see why that's very suspicious.
So you're saying that it's so easy to do. Why are you opposing it? Needless to say, what's your vote, Mayor? Yes or no?
I cannot, in whole good faith, force something on them that they're not capable of doing right now. No.
Okay.
Roberts.
This was a natural evolution. I understand Tom was working to get these meetings hybrid as necessary. I think especially Sarah is an autonomous board.
We're not talking
and-
about Sarah. The motion
All
is
right,
for
let me take
planning
it.
and zoning.
Let me take it back. In planning and zoning, we should have engaged them before forcing them. I believe that if we just simply engage them, that they would be willing to go through the natural evolution. I understand it was a couple of months away just to get everyone on board and trained, that this is just a push to make a point. And I'm going to say no, and I'm going to let them run it themselves.
It's been a push for about 5 months. I think I've been saying this, but that's okay. They're all aware, planning and zoning. Go ahead, continue on with the vote.
Dabrowski.
I'm going to vote yes, but I do have comment. We've wasted exceedingly a long period of time now trying to discuss something that just seems logical. I think both boards should be hybrid. The opportunity for our residents to see more just seems natural. Quite frankly, I think we've wasted a lot of time.
Thank you for that comment. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a yes for me. Now we're going to move forward with addressing the redevelopment agency, which has slightly different laws governing it. My thought is very simple. Same thing. If they're going to use borough chambers or borough hall, whether it be 308 or 310, whether they think that if they're going to choose to use a borough room, I would like to see them use this room. I would hope that the council would support the fact that the redevelopment agency should be using council chambers to conduct their meetings and that they should be hybrid. Now, I think I'm going to ask if a motion was to be made that this be broken up into 2 separate pieces as well. Because the statute states that they can hold their meetings anywhere they want, and that we as a council, if they choose to use borough facilities, we can tell them where. So I'd be curious if anybody on the council would be so bold as to make a motion that if Sarah chooses to continue to use a borough facility, that their meetings be held in borough chambers.
I have a question, if it's okay. The question to the
Okay.
business administrator. I believe that there should be a hybrid component. That my question, though, because I think it was raised, and I think it's a good point, is that the way that board meets, the facilities may not be the best they can be here in order to have the discussions that they have. Glenn, is there a way, and I know Tom Bracken works magic when he wants to, and he always does. Is there a way to move that process along so that 308 can be equipped in the appropriate fashion so that if they choose to have the meeting where it's more comfortable for discussion's sake, because in the matter in which they deal with it, they can get that done in short order?
The short answer is, I believe, yes. We have budgeted this year coming up to do some modifications there.
Can we
But I'll
find a
work
way to
with
speed
Denise
it
to
up?
see if there's some money laying around where we can move that
But-
forward more quickly.
But if I make Councilman Zabrowski here, you know, I'm listening to your recommendation, but I just wanted to add, if possible, that the information I received from the Sarah leaders and, you know, Mr. Diadio and some other residents as well, is that they're not opposed, again, you know, from my reports, they're not opposed to transitioning into council chambers. They have no problem with it at all. However, they would just appreciate receiving a request, not just from the mayor, but also from the council, you know, that, and no doubt, I think the mayor mentioned that they're not too fond of her, but they would feel more comfortable receiving a request from the mayor and the council. They never really expressed that they're not interested or willing to transition into the council chambers. So, and I just wanted to express that. Hopefully that adds a layer of context here.
Oh, I appreciate that their issue is with the mayor requesting it. Does anybody from the council feel comfortable, since in speaking to Mr. Diadio, council president said they don't have a problem with moving into council chambers?
I'm at every Sarah meeting, and I have never heard anybody on Sarah express that. They like the fact we have 14 people that sit in a table where the discussion is very free, back and forth. Up here, it's very difficult. You know, if I turn like this to talk to Denise, my mic doesn't pick me up. There, we're across from the table. Secondly, we have 6 benches in there for, as opposed to 310, where there's little to no seating for people that don't show up. And we go into closed session usually once, and we don't have to get in here. We go into closed sessions. We got to get up and. So
That's
they
what we have
are
issue
very
with.
comfortable in 308. I have no problem with somebody putting the whole meeting on Zoom on their phone. Tom Bracken said that is, you know, I don't know how to do it, but if somebody could be trained and you know, could train one of the people there or Joan to do that, that would be fine. It's not that we have a problem with Zoom. But what I'm afraid is what we're saying here is that if you don't do what we say, you can't use the borough building, and then our meetings won't even be televised.
Why wouldn't they want to use borough building?
You just, Mayor, you've been the one that's saying we can tell them if they want
Yeah.
to use the borough building, where to meet.
So let me understand
So if they
this.
don't want to meet here, you're saying they can't use. the building?
I just want to understand that the reason for the objection of
Yeah.
of council chambers, just so the residents
Yeah,
are
we're
aware.
giving them our biggest room. We're even being
Well,
generous.
But this is interesting. The biggest complaint that Mary is saying for the redevelopment agency not wanting to move into the largest forum that could accommodate the most residents at a time when they are approving mega warehouses, the time when they are approving changes to roadways, the time when they're talking about Riverton, the largest redevelopment project that's Saraville, and excuse me, I'm not
We
done.
don't approve
Excuse
these
me.
things, Mayor.
That's,
Make
I-
recommendations.
Is,
Make no
can I have point of order,
Counsel-
please, Mayor? I'm
Please,
trying to
please.
speak. Every time I start to speak and you don't
But
like
you're
what I have to
speaking
say.
incorrectly. I'm saying point of order because what you're saying is incorrect.
Councilwoman Novak,
God
it's not your
approved this
meeting to
stuff.
preside over. Councilwoman Novak, it's
Okay,
not
one
your
at a
meeting to
time.
preside over.
One
all
at a
right?
time, please.
So at a time when the redevelopment agency is having discussions about the largest redevelopment project on the East Coast right now, possibly in the entire continental United States, Riverton, at a time when the redevelopment agency is having discussions, presenting plans about the mega warehouses on Cheesequake Road, at a time when the redevelopment agency right now is in conversation in reference to a redevelopment project that was once Club Pure, at a time when the redevelopment agency is also responsible for conversations that are going on in reference to the landfill site in Saraville off of Journey Mill Road, and whatever else is being discussed. At a time when all of that is going on, the redevelopment agency doesn't want to move from room 310 for the following reasons. The 308. They don't want to move from their happy little quarters because, and I quote, "We like the way the room is set up." Okay. And God forbid that mean the residents would like to know what's going on and be able to fill the room and be able to see what's happening, but they're comfortable because they can see each other. And because if you turn your head, I turn my head and my mic is here and I'm pretty sure you can all hear me. Okay, but if they turn their head, it's harder to talk to each other. I served on Sarah for 5 years. Okay? Seriously? And because if they have to go into executive session, which they do a lot for a very long amount of time, they have to get up and they have to move. That's the reason why they don't want to use the largest room with the most technology, the most visibility, and the availability of more space for more of its residents. That's the reason. And according to Mary, they have no problem going hybrid. And we can get them hybrid right now in this room. But they don't want to go hybrid right now.
They said it all.
So, I mean, I was just trying to find out where our council is and just get a vote. Okay, if they're going to use Borough Hall, is anybody up here bold enough to make a motion to say if they're going to use Borough Hall, use council chambers? Is there
I like to
any
make a-
council person
I like to make a
brave
motion
enough
for
to
that.
make that motion?
I'd like to make a motion for Sarah to use, if they continue to use Borough Hall, that they use council chambers only and specifically.
Is there a second? Is anybody brave enough to make a second, just to see where everybody falls? We got a second from there. Do we have a brave council person to at least bring this to a vote? Thank you. Roll call, please. Let's see what happens. Let the residents see what happened.
Anoha,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Still a no on this one too. They're an independent agency. I don't want to force it. You're going to force them to go out into a library.
That would really
Have a
be
meeting.
terrible.
So
Around and tell our residents, we won't even hold our meetings that have to deal with your everyday life. We're going to go to the library to avoid that.
hey, our residents can attend those meetings in person. I've been there enough times. There's nobody in
We
that.
got you.
meeting.
That's a no for Councilman
Nobody.
Conti.
So
That's
there's
not true, Councilman
nobody
Nova.
in
Councilman
that-
Conti,
in
that's
that,
not true.
office.
That's not true.
Nobody
Councilman.
in there. I've been there
That's-
enough times.
It's
You're
okay.
only
Your vote-
speaking for those in person, and that doesn't represent.
what I'm
the
saying.
full-
That's what I
that doesn't
said.
Yeah, but that's too limited of a full scope of the population of, for our residents. It's just it's too small-minded of a scope, sir, respectfully.
It's okay. The vote stands. That's a no for Councilman Conti. Let's keep it going.
Novak,
To say that if they don't meet in a particular room, they won't even have any kind of recording of the meeting, that's absolutely crazy. I'm a no.
Or do-
No.
That's not
Roberts,
even.
Councilwoman?
I am not of the opinion that we should make decisions for an autonomous board. They will,
The decision is for us, though. It's our building.
It's our building.
and I am not going to force an autonomous board to determine where they want to meet or not. I don't think that's a good precedent to start. I think that the board has been meeting regularly. They may want to go to a hybrid, they may not, but I don't think it's our place to tell an autonomous board how to conduct business. So no.
This vote is not for hybrid, though. This vote is for where they're going to hold the meeting. This vote is not for them going hybrid. That's their decision.
I just want to ask one question. I know I already took a vote. Is this
We're not done
saying,
with the vote.
I know, but is this saying, the council is actually saying, if they don't meet in a particular room, they cannot meet in any room in this hall, and this is the only building that is recorded? So you would
That's
force
my
them
motion.
to meet,
That was my
excuse me,
motion.
you would force them to meet where there would be absolutely no recording.
No, we were forcing,
not
we
true.
are having them meet in the same exact room that the planning board and the zoning board have been meeting in every single
I am
day
listening.
with the recording.
But what you said was if they don't meet here in Borough Hall, they can't meet in Borough Hall. So that means they would have to meet in a building
That's what I said.
that's not recorded or anything.
No, Mayor.
Oh, but
That's their choice if they want to do that. We're giving them the
Right.
facility, we're giving them a building, we're giving them all of this room. If they turn around and choose to take themselves out of this building, well, I think we got bigger problems on the redevelopment agency than we
So
thought.
So they won't be forced out of the building. If they don't
They-
meet here, they won't
That
be
is
forced
not what
out
the
of the
motion
building.
was. The motion was that they were to meet in council chambers, just like our planning board and our board of adjustments does. And if Sarah doesn't like it,
Okay.
then that's up to them. They can move if they want.
If
That's what
they
the
don't-
state statute
if they
allows,
don't
Mary.
Right.
like
And
you
for the
were
record,
saying
for
that
the
they
record,
Can't meet anywhere.
They're
in
an
Borough Hall.
autonomous board, like you have said. They can choose to take it on the road, or they can choose to stay here in the interest of transparency. That's up to that board.
yeah, and for the record, they never expressed they're not interested in council chambers. They
you
just,
go.
yeah, they did not. And so this notion that they prefer 308, that isn't true, ma'am, unless it's you speaking individually. But
No,
from the
I am
reports I
speaking-
received from
I am
Mike
speaking
Diadio,
for
when they
the,
were-
the entire,
Again-
not one
again.
single, I don't know who you talked to,
yeah,
but I
and
can assure you
again,
is
I
that has
received from,
not been, has ever been.
you cannot
spoken.
assure me that, ma'am. You cannot be, that's why I'm telling you, right? That this is information that I've received. And again, I can't speak for your conversation with residents, but for myself specifically, and the reports that I got that even came as far as the chair of the board, they are interested in council chambers. However, they would like to receive that approval directly from the mayor and the council.
There you
But
go.
they
That's
did,
why I
they
made it.
never expressed that they were interested in 308 over council chambers. That was not the report I received.
So we know currently Councilwoman Novak's position on where she feels. Did you make your vote? You said no, correct? And we know the current Councilman Vince Conti, where he stands in reference to this, as well as Councilman Roberts. I think we have one more person left to go. And this is just for, and I'm wondering, like, is the tail wagging the dog? What's going on here? I mean, you're a council person. I don't know what capacity you're serving in, but whatever. What capacity your vote is really considering here. But I'll let it be. I thought this was a council decision that you guys were making, but by all means, it serves, it stands. No, no, no. We have one more.
I'm going to vote no, because I don't want to pigeonhole a board into one particular room. However, I am going to make a motion afterwards to make it more inclusive so that we can have a Zoom or hybrid or whatever else in the room that's of their choosing, so they can do their work as they feel appropriate.
Okay. So that motion fails to move them into council chambers. So the planning board and the zoning board will continue to hold their meetings here in this room, record it. And they will be hybrid. And I will lean to the business administrator to make certain that those meetings are in fact hybrid. Only the redevelopment agency at this point still has their own choice about where they wish to hold their meetings, whether it be in 308, 310, or council chambers, the only board. Councilman Zabrowski, you mentioned that you would like to make a motion, though, following this up in reference to hybrid meetings. Because one of my issues is that we really don't have the ability to interact as residents. Our residents are frustrated. Our residents are angry. Our residents are concerned because they don't have the accessibility to this board, and they want accessibility to all of our boards from a hybrid perspective. So I think we've done the right thing here by moving planning and zoning hybrid. Was your recommendation or your motion in reference to that?
I'm going to make a motion that Sarah have the option, if it so chooses, for 308 to go through a Zoom meeting to be held in such time that our very competent IT staff can get the appropriate equipment installed in 308. And if they do choose to have a meeting in 310, which is here, is to do it as our normal hybrid.
Normal hybrid
if it is to be held here.
if it is to be held here, it'd be hybrid. What about if it's held in 308 or 310, also hybrid?
Sounds to me that they're able to accommodate a Zoom. I think that's appropriate. That allows for more access.
I don't know
Okay.
if we have the jurisdiction for that. Do we have that far?
I
of a
don't know if
scope?
we do.
I think, Mayor.
Yeah, of
Yeah, I
course.
think John's motion was to make it available, not to mandate it. Correct?
Oh, that's a good point.
That's correct.
Yes, because we can't mandate what they do because of the state law. So to making Zoom fully and 100% available to them to hold their meetings, it's their choice whether they wish to use it. Correct? If I understand the motion correctly? Is that,
That's correct.
okay, thank you. Is there a second for that?
But, well, no. If
Oh, I'm
I may,
sorry.
Before there's a second, right? Because, to Councilman Zabrowski here, I think, I understand you don't want to kind of quote unquote pigeonhole, an autonomous board, but to me, it brings us back into a loophole, right? Where we have a board that we say, hey, we'll give you all the tools necessary to conduct a hybrid meeting. And then their council liaisons will come back to our meetings and say, no, they're more than willing to do the hybrid component. However, there's not enough technological advancement for them to conduct it. So then we revert back to maybe our BA or one of our professionals from the IT department to see how they can help. And because they have their own jurisdiction, they just say, no, we're more than willing. However, there's just another technological layer in one of the rooms we're using. And, it goes over and over and over. And I think our final position here is use our most technological savvy room so that we don't keep running back into these quote unquote problems, technological problems. At least it puts them as a board in a position to come up with another quote unquote excuse, if it is an excuse, or allow us to create that hybrid component in the best position, in the best capability possible, which is through the council chambers.
So Council President Noha, even though the motion failed to move them here into council chambers, as an autonomous board, they have the ability to make the decision to come into council chambers if they wish. That
Right.
door is open. And they have, as an autonomous body, the ability to conduct their meetings via Zoom.
Right.
Whether or not we say so or not. As an autonomous body, you would hope that they would be doing that.
We would hope so for the sake of government.
Right. So I think to clarify what Councilman Sobrowski is saying is that we're going to provide them any assistance as an autonomous board from the council, any technological support that they need in order to hold their meetings via Zoom, if they so choose. I think that's pretty much what your motion is, right? Because we can't force
Do we not
them.
already do that? Do we not already do that? Have we not already been doing that for the past, 5-6 months?
Was I misspeaking?
That's my.
Yeah, that's how it's going. We can't force them to do it, but I wanted to bring this to a vote in multiple layers. I
Okay.
want the residents to see. I want the residents to see where this council stands in reference to transparency. And I want the residents to be able to see where the chairman and the redevelopment agency commissioners stand when it comes to transparency for this town. So was there a motion and a second for that vote for council? So yes?
There's not a second yet, unless there is one.
There was a second. I seconded.
Okay.
That's fine. So let's have a vote. Roll call, please.
Zabrowski,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Anoha,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
So what we have just done essentially is nothing but something.
Right.
I know it's pretty funny to say that, but the redevelopment agency now has the ball in their court. The redevelopment agency has just heard from the entire council that they want them to be on Zoom and will do anything that we need to do in order to provide them with the technology to conduct meetings on Zoom hybridly, so that way residents can participate that are not there. And we have said now to the redevelopment agency, as a council, that they can pick 308, 310, or council chambers. But as an autonomous body, they have the right to choose. Now we are going to see. Next Sarah meeting is when? Councilwoman Roberts, Councilwoman Novak, next Sarah meeting is when?
The last Thursday in April, we just had one.
Yes, that's what, I just didn't know when your next
Last
date was.
Thursday in April.
Last Thursday in April, who knows? We might see them via Zoom. We might see them in this room. Or we might see them someplace else. We will just have to wait. But this is the closest we have come to bringing transparency to that agency. And now the chairman cannot turn around and say that he won't do anything because he doesn't take direction from this mayor. And he would not do anything unless the council directed him. Sad day, because he should really be serving the residents of this town. All right, let's move forward. I think we're up to Public Works. Councilman Conti.
All right. Public Works. All right, the guys in Public Works have been rather busy. If you ever want to know a list of tasks that they do around the borough, let me know. They give me a long summary of activities every month, and I could run it down for you. One of the highlights, though, they provided information to our grant writer for the preparation of Green Acres grant for Kennedy Park. So I was excited to see that. That's big and bold steps, so I was happy. 1,152 man hours were available in the Parks Department for the month of February. So a ton of time being spent around town and our parks, getting them ready for use and making them look better for everyone. Construction department keeps turning out those fees for permits and fire prevention, over 100,000 for the month in fees generated, which is a big number. It's been pretty consistent. Garbage collection is up more than 100 tons from last year. I don't know what's going on with the garbage, but 871 tons of trash compared to last year this time. So they are doing a lot out there. And I think, Glenn, you said the new trucks are in town and being serviced for Sayreville, dressed up and
Yes,
whatnot.
yes, it'll be another week or two before we could roll them out publicly, but they're arriving.
Nice, nice.
Two rear loaders and a side loader.
Yeah, yeah, nice. New equipment coming our way as well, which is much needed and will help create some efficiency and streamline the process. So we're excited about that. As excited as you can get about trash collection, I guess. The roads department, the guys are out there doing spot repairs, hot patch, et cetera. And the big stuff will be coming soon enough. We'll get to work on some of the roads, restructure and milling and paving, et cetera. So there'll be more to come on that. As I have details, I'll certainly share that with you all, so you can see if you're on the list. Just a quick note from Shade Tree, they are honing in on the dedications that they want to have around town for Mrs. Wisniewski and Councilwoman June 4. So they're honing in on the spots and what they want to do there to pay tribute. So soon enough, we'll see something on that. Sure enough, I'm sure. Let's see what else we have. So you know what, last week I mentioned the either new or renewed business licenses. I'm going to do it again. You know, I got a note from a couple of businesses about that, you know, they heard it was mentioned. They liked it. I try and stop in some of these new businesses wherever I can. So I'm just going to mention some of them that I could actually recognize. Dave's Dogs, Graceful Massage, One Stop Shop. Yeah. Everybody could you know, to each his own. Venice's Bombers Beyond is on there. Sri Dosa Place, Parlin Donuts, Pomodoro Roll, Lash and Beauty Lounge, Bonaventure Beauty Supply. So, you know, they're there for the ladies and the gentlemen who want to clean up nice and look good around Sayreville. Lifetime Fitness Club, Happy Life Spa. So you know what? We're all residents here. I'm a strong supporter of our businesses. I would encourage everybody to do the same. That's what keeps us going, keeping our businesses strong and patronizing them. So that's why I mentioned them. So if you hear something and, oh, you know, let me check on that and let me see what's going on. You know, that's why I mentioned that sort of thing. So we appreciate it. The businesses appreciate it. We as a council appreciate it. That just keeps us strong, Sayreville strong. So thank you very much.
Okay, we're gonna move forward now with Recreation, Councilwoman Novak.
Yes, I'd just like to remind everybody that the Easter egg hunt is April 1st at 9 a.m. on the turf fields right behind Borough Hall here. And summer camp registrations are open. There's limited space remaining. They also have started something new this year with a summer science camp, which is a week long. I think that's absolutely wonderful. What they've also put in place too is there a lot of parents, because of the time they have to leave for work, are unable to bring their children to some of these things. So we will be offering now, mind you, it is for a fee, but a before care before this, the summer programs start, so that if parents, you know, would otherwise not be able to let their kids go to summer camp, they will be able to. I'd like to talk for a minute about Frank. I don't think, a lot of things have shocked me, but I probably no more recently than when I got the email from Jess that he was gone. I was fortunate enough to have served with him as an EMT on several emergency squad. We went on calls together during the day. I served with him as a councilman, and I served with him on Sarah. And we had disagreements, friendly. We always ended with, well, for a while it was a fist bump, but most of the time it was with hugs. He was a very special man. My heart goes out to his wife and kids. I can't imagine. That's all I can say. May 6th is also going to be the fishing derby early in the morning, and then the HRC fun run. It also happens to be a very busy week for me, as I have a first communion and a christening in both of those children in my son's family. So I am going to probably run in and out of these things as best I can in my high heels, because I won't miss those things with my kids. Also, Pulse, you gave a really nice speech, but here's something that probably I only told Glenn about. Monmouth University approached the community service outreach and actually had them go in and give a quick class. And now the lieutenant over there wants to be called professor. I'm not doing that, but it was such an honor to be called into there and be giving a speech to chiefs from all over both Monmouth and Middlesex County. And Sayreville is really a pace setter with this, just like we were with automated garbage. But this is, and everybody's looking to copy this now. And hopefully they're applying for grants so that we continue this. And if not, it'll be a shared services as it is right now, but the one where shared services with South River and South Amboy. They each get about 32 hours a week of them getting all of the reports together and contacting these people. They've already touched base with, I believe, about 60 people. And we're really doing a great job in the police department. It's really just moving forward, and everybody in 2 counties combined are looking at everything we're doing here in Sayreville. So I can't say, and I hope, Frank, maybe you're looking down and making sure all of this continues. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much for that report. And we have Water, Sewer, and Environmental, Councilman Zabrowski. You made it onto the agenda finally. Good.
After 3 months, I appreciate, or 3 meetings, I appreciate that, but I will be brief with that. Last month, they completed, our folks with Water and Sewer completed 209 routine and 31 emergency responses. The well redevelopment project at New Hernal continues, and it's continuing as on schedule. Guardrail installation along Dew Hernal well fields is also being completed, and that's the reason for that is target hardening for our infrastructure, protect that further. And finally, hydrant flushing will begin April 17th. We'll have the various media utilized to make sure that the alerts are out to those particular residents in the areas that are going to be affected. And that's my report.
Thank you very much for that. Moving on to Planning and Zoning, Council President Anoja, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Regarding planning and zoning, just want to encourage everyone to look out for our upcoming meeting on, I believe, April 5th. To review the application by I think Sayreville Seaport Associates towards a redevelop, which is a facility or a property, a large property that has been approved for redevelopment, and hearing their application, and I think will be very informative for our residents, and that will be on our next meeting, April 5th by 7:30 in Borough Hall, and maybe even on Zoom, from my understanding now. And from a zoning standpoint, we're really for planning still, actually, we're excited. I'm very excited to review a lot of the surveys and the suggestions with our professionals and consultants regarding the master plan, and just working towards continuous progress on that front, and in addition to upcoming activities with zoning as well in the coming future. So thank you for the opportunity to express some of those updates in the near future, and so far we're working towards progress in the latter future moving forward. Thank you. Oh, and one more thing, actually. I guess this is off of planning and zoning. I guess more public safety. For the residents that I've reached out, I guess, regarding the active ongoing investigation for the departure of Councilwoman Jumfor. I've had a few interesting comments that I've seen in the past regarding more from a taxpayer standpoint, and the resources and how it affects our borough. So I kind of wanted to kind of reach out to the liaison for admin and finance to see if maybe that can be something that he looks into, to see if we can give a more detailed response maybe in our next coming meeting. But so far, I do believe that, it's still obviously being actively investigated, and probably more within the frames or within the borders of our borough, regarding most recently cooperation with current elected officials and access to devices or phones and whatnot. So it does seem as though investigation is within the borough, but to speak towards how it affects taxpayers within the scope of the investigation beyond the walls or the borders, I'm not really sure how it affects us financially. So I wanted to see if we can get a report on that, even for the sake of our residents, maybe in the next meeting or meetings moving forward. And I think those are some of the updates and things that we've received and are currently working on now. Thank you all, and continuous progress from our understanding.
Thank you, Council President. I believe that Glenn Skorzinski might have some information regarding, I think, your questions with financial cost for investigation into Eunice's.
As far as I know, outside of the first week of the investigation, there's been no spike in overtime activity from police with regard to that. And the only additional expense was we did provide a new computer to help them process some things that they needed to process. So we gave them a one unit computer upgrade. Other than that, no extraordinary expenses incurred by the taxpayer.
Okay, thank you for that information. And hopefully the residents out there can do with that as they will. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Appreciate that. That brings me to my report, and I'll keep it very brief. One of the things I would like to say is if you did not have an opportunity to see The Little Mermaid, that was the performance put on by our theater group in the high school over the weekend, Friday and Saturday. Oh, you missed a phenomenal show. I just want to say that between the staff, our theater group, between the music, the performances, it was absolutely second to none, Broadway worthy. It was a joy to be in that theater. So proud of our actors. And I'm telling you, Saraville, we are going to see some impressive young people hitting the stage. We're going to see their names in lights. It was perhaps one of the best performances that I have seen out of the high school in years. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, I'm sorry. If you did get a chance to see it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Excellent job to our high school. With that, we're going to move to the public portion. Anybody from the public here? I have very quickly, come on up, sir. And then Ken, come on up afterwards as well. I don't see anybody online.
Name is Paul Roman, 9 Cobb Avenue. Just one quick comment. You mentioned Cheesequake Road, or the work that was done there. There were trees there, and they clear cut it. I guess it was cheaper to do, but it wasn't. I think you can't undo it. But I'm just saying, just as a warning for future developments, that they try to keep some of the trees. You know, there was no reason to clear cut everything. It was just clear cut, and I've had a number of neighbors mention this to me. So just for future redevelopments, just to try to keep.
Just so you're aware, I can't speak for what will or will not be replanted at the Hercules site, but we have an ordinance in town. Anytime we have mass destruction of trees, there's a required payment that's made to our shade tree account, which the Shade Tree Commission we're working with them closely. We're on the cusp of planting hundreds of trees in various locations to offset that loss elsewhere.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, there was a loss. They just clear cut everything.
yeah, there was, but we're working to plant them in other parts of town. So what we had in terms of environmental re-energizing the environment, we will have again. We're just moving toward that now.
No, that's good. I'm just in future developments, it's probably good to keep some of the trees there in the same spot. You know, instead of a shade tree development, it's better to keep it in the same spot.
Agreed. One question that I do want to ask as Ken is coming up in reference to the Cheesequake Road site. I noticed that as they turned around and made that little bit more of a bend, kind of straightened it a little bit, that I think you fought hard for me in order to get additional lighting over there, but I think that lighting now has been moved. Are we going to have additional lighting put up over there while they're still working to make it? We will tomorrow. All right. That's what I wanted to hear. Yeah, I noticed that now that turn, while it's changed and the lighting now is gone, obviously people that travel that road every single day may or may not be aware of that sudden change. So let's try and keep people from that 13-second.
The stop sign is gone, yeah.
Yeah, the stop sign is gone. And quite frankly, listen, Glenn was fantastic when I called him the last time and said we needed lighting right away. He made it happen. And seriously, you brought light in like 24 hours. So I must call upon you again to take care of that for me. Thank you. All right, Ken, you're next.
Don't oversell it.
Let there be light and Glenn shows up.
Thank you, Mayor. Ken Olszewski, 108 North Edward Street. The joke of the night, I don't think he meant it as a joke, was when the councilman here said, nobody attends Sarah meetings. Well, it took us over an hour to talk about getting a location for boards. So, you know, the reason, and Steve, who comes to me regularly, keeps talking, you know, we come to council meetings to get issues taken. Most people don't have time to go to all the borough meetings because they're spending too much time working to pay their taxes. So that's why they're not there. Doesn't mean they're not important. As the mayor outlined, all the things that Sarah is working on, it's ridiculous that there is not more transparency. Transparency is the name of the game. And that's why I was so upset at the meeting where you appointed the councilman. Not that I have anything against councilmen. As a matter of fact, the three applicants were great choices. And I certainly know John a long time since he became chief, way before that, who was a fine choice. But we did not have transparency. We had 100 people in a room and nobody up here said the process, boom, boom, all of a sudden they're starting to vote. I spoke up from the audience. Well, I only get 5 minutes. Guess what? You get all night. Somebody should have picked up and said, hey, what is the process, Mr. Attorney? Explain it to the people. So, Mayor, when you talk transparency, you're right on the money. Transparency is significant. It's very, very important. It's the name of the game for the public who are footing the bills here. Next item I want to talk about. In my career, I've probably interviewed 1,500 to 2,000 people. And one of the questions I ask everyone, once they didn't outlaw, my company didn't do it because they made a fuss about using the Wonderlic. I don't know if anybody knows what the Wonderlic is. That was an intelligence test. So as an interviewer, you couldn't really you could only give them a typing test or a test that directly related to their job. So I came up with a series of questions. And one of the questions I asked all applicants was, give me, if I had to choose 5 things to describe you by your best friend, what would they be? Well, I'd want to talk about former councilman and former many things, Frank Bella. I was probably one of his best friends, if not his best friends. I talked to him Thursday night at 5 o'clock. He called me from California, and I got a call 5 o'clock Friday night from the police and said, Frank Bella is dead. No, that must be a mistake. He's out there attending a funeral. There's only one word that I need to describe Frank Bella, and that's integrity. Frank Bella had integrity, and that's what made him such a great guy, because you never had to doubt the integrity of Frank Bella. And I hope we use a little bit of Frank Bella in his death. We take a little of examples from him when we talk about doing business for the borough of Saraville. You know, Bobby V had a great hit a long time ago called Rubber Ball. Reminded me of that tonight, bouncy, bouncy, rubber ball. And that's where we're going. And I'm not on Facebook, but I need to tell you, I get a lot of things from people showing me what is on Facebook. And one of the big things now is something that you're talking about tonight. And that's as the warehouses get bigger on Minnesink and Cheesequake, the amount of questions and the nervousness gets greater, and people are doing more and more talking. And all of a sudden, Sarah is blaming the planning board is blaming the council, and it just becomes a joke. Let me tell you about meetings. Councilman here talked about going to meetings. I was at the planning board meeting when they approved these mega warehouses. And that's the trick. It's mega warehouses. I was there. Let me tell you what happened. You've heard some of this, but it's important to repeat it. Jim Robinson got up and said, you can get your own traffic study and it'll be paid for. The planning board did traffic study. It can be paid for by the applicant fees, by the escrow. You hear what I'm saying right now? The silence, that was the silence from the planning board. Now, let's ignore Jim Robinson. He chaired the planning board for years. He taught planning board classes from the state at Atlantic City.
It's
and
5
all
minutes
over.
if you can wrap it up.
But if you want me to come back for the next 5, I will. It's up to you. But I'm certainly not finished. He chaired gave classes on planning board, and guess what? Nobody wanted to listen to him. Mr. Duffy got up and he talked, being a truck driver for 35 years and telling him how you weren't going to be able to negotiate these terms, not only there, but all over. By the way, the applicant, the traffic man for the applicant said, oh, well, we'll solve this problem with the trucks by tweaking the traffic lights at Cheesequake and Bordentown and at Minnesink. They're going to tweak the traffic lights. And let's get to the testimony of the applicant. They said up to 60 trucks an hour during the peak periods. That seems to be something that people are trying to downplay. That came from nobody in the audience. That came from the applicant, up to 60 trucks an hour. So the idea that this can happen and it's going to work is a little bit ridiculous. But let me further tell you what happened to the people there. The councilwoman who's no longer here, who sat on that board, was silent during all this. And then at the end, she voted no. And we say, Sarah is an autonomous board. Give me a break. There are 2 council people on this board. Where's the leadership? Isn't anybody, I mean, can we just blame the chairman or that? Where is the leadership on these boards to say, hey, listen, we should be, how about this fact? How about that fact? And where are the people on these boards who are making the decisions? And where are those decisions coming from? What are the professionals doing? Let's talk about the professionals. Who's the engineer on Sarah? Isn't it CME? And CME is our engineer here. And I believe they are on the planning board and on the Board of Adjustment. I mean, do you need me to introduce you to Jay Cornell or to Dave Samuel? Where are we talking to them about what should be? Are we giving them our ideas? I mean, we seem to be getting a lot of runaround for the people of Saraville. And the name of the game is, let's not blame somebody else. Let's look in the mirror ourselves and say, hey, it's time we all did our job. As the mayor said before about stepping to the plate and speaking up. And I've been to this microphone the last year 6 or 8 times, talking about speaking up. And that's your job here. And if you're not doing it, then you're not fighting for the people of Saraville. And the other thing I've talked about, if there's something wrong with the laws, it's up to you. Pass a resolution. Do you want me to talk? I'll come back some other night when I get another 5 minutes and talk about how many resolutions we passed in the time that I was on this board to the whatever to be, to the county. Passed a resolution, we withheld tax payments to the county. Wayne said, oh, no, you can't do that. Oh, really? We got a motion, we got a second, and it passed. And guess what? All of a sudden, we withheld the payment of county taxes. And you know what? A miracle happened. All of a sudden, they solved the problem. So, you can't just sit here and wring your hands and say, oh, there's nothing we can do. You're elected by the people. There's always something you can try to do. I'm not going to take any more time, but I think you get the point. I think a lot of the things you said tonight, Mayor, were on target, and we can't just blame somebody. And I see now where these boys, Sarah's starting to blame all these people. It's a joke that somebody that has the power of Sarah, and all of a sudden, we can't tell them where you should be. Maybe we need to revise those laws in Trenton, and maybe you ought to send a resolution through our Congress, through our Assembly, our Speaker is in this district, and through our Senator if the laws are screwed up on it. But we need more accountability, and we need accountability from the people on these boards and from our representatives right here who we vote on that are on these boards. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. You have one hand online. That is, that's the 501c, Steve Lacrosse.
Good evening, council. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, my name is Edward Lefty Grimes. I'm with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 advocating for disability rights. The planning board meetings are actually in violation of the ADA Title II. Somebody made a decision after COVID, after using that service of hybrids for 19 months, they made a decision to go back to in-person meetings. By doing that, they violated ADA because there's a process they needed to follow, which they didn't follow. And you can ask your attorney about this. There was a self-evaluation period that was not done. There was a question and answer period that was not done. There's a grievance procedure. There's a transition period. Was there an ADA coordinator involved in that decision that was made? Because if you're disabled and you're building a ramp in your house and you need to go in front of the planning board, but you're homebound, how are you supposed to, as a disabled person, go in front of a planning board when you can't as a disabled person? So that's what the ADA protects. people like that. So these planning board meetings are a violation of the ADA Title II. So that's part of your arsenal if you want to use that to fight that, because that's just ignorant and hurtful to disabled vets and to other people that are wheelchair bound. My second point is we'd like your help. We'd like to, our organization does cleanups around the state. We've done cleanups in Dover, in Bayonne, and other cities, Mawa. We'd like to clean up Samuel Circle. When we went to Samuel Circle recently, we noticed there was an incredible amount of trash, and it looks like people actually dumped loads of plastic bottles and plastic items back there. So we'd like to clean up Samuel Circle. What we'd like to do is coordinate with you guys, if that's okay. We need some pickers, the metal pickers, and some bags, and maybe some fluorescent vests to wear. And we'd like to coordinate with your town to pick up the garbage that we collect. Is that something that we can plan for, maybe something like in May?
Let me put my mic on for a second. Samuel Circle, Jay, just give me,
That's located in Lemaire across.
oh, okay, Lemaire.
private property.
That is private property over there, so we wouldn't be able to give you jurisdiction over that. You would have to reach out to, if you want to look at that specific site and cleaning up there, we got plenty of sites for you to clean up if you want. But that particular site, being that it's in Lemaire and it's private property, we could probably give them the contact information at least. Oh, okay. So you know what?
That facility has people that clean there every day. You know, I'm even surprised to hear that it's not clean. I see them every day, so I'm trying to even.
Where the crime scene was, where the man jumped over the fence, those woods back there, there's actually a tunnel with water down the hill, and it's filthy. I mean, I could show you the pictures. I'll send the mayor the pictures of it. It's just disgusting back there. I never seen.
So you mean like beyond the walls of the private facility?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mayor and Jay, what is that?
You know what?
Yeah.
That might be, so you've piqued my interest now, and my business administrator just said, so both of those two areas, and listen, you'll get no complaint from me. I'm certain it's, it's in need of some cleanup for sure. But some of that might be Parkway Authority property. So how about this? Can I have you reach out to, do you want me to reach out to, can you reach out to Glenn Skorzinski, our business administrator? What is it,
707.
525?
739.
Go ahead, give the number.
73.
I find you. other-
732-390-7071.
Okay.
Did you get that? So that way we can find out exactly if that's something we can give you jurisdiction over or not. And if not, we can put you in touch with Elise Barone also through our Public Works Department. She does everything, recycling, environmental, you name it. And if that site isn't an area that you can clean up, I will definitely find you many that we can keep you busy for days and months at a time. But I always am grateful when somebody reaches out and says they want to help beautify our areas.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Madam Mayor, you mind if I follow up on that question?
Yeah, go ahead.
When you refer to ADA, from my understanding, for the planning board meetings, we hold our meetings in council chambers, and we do have a ramp leading into the building and an elevator for anyone maybe in wheelchair or anyone connected to in need of disability services. So I'm even trying to understand, and maybe our counsel can speak towards this. Our lawyer can speak towards this. Would our borough or our board in any way be? Again, the comment was kind of striking. I wouldn't believe us to be. I would believe us to be adhering to any regulation, especially towards those needing disability services. Would you not agree from that this Disabilities Act understanding?
Talking amongst themselves.
Hang on. Oh, okay. Very good to know. So one of the things I'm going to ask, because I appreciate having that, I'm appreciative of Mr. Grimes making that statement. I am going to ask that our attorney look into any of that being a possibility, because I'll be honest with you, that would probably put all of our boards in jeopardy. And that would include this council as well, because there was a time, I think, prior to us no, after COVID, we came back and we weren't hybrid yet. And then I know I pushed really hard to get that equipment along with the council so we could go hybrid. So there is actually a gap within all of our boards where we were offering hybrid because, well, shouldn't even say hybrid. We offered 100% virtual because of COVID. I don't know if the boards actually went hybrid after we came back in person. I think they actually ended everything. They didn't actually go hybrid. But I'd have to turn around and check into that because I want to make sure not just the planning board, but our zoning board. Again, the redevelopment agency is autonomous, so I'm certain that there's legislation there that protects them. But even this council, because we went between virtual, I don't remember if we went virtual straight into in-person and then we went back to hybrid. Could you look into that for us?
Sure, sure.
I appreciate
I
that.
mean, the reason that you have the option to do the virtual is because the governor's order is still in play. The emergency order is still in play. Everyone thinks, oh, COVID is the thing of the past, thank God. But that order is what permits there to be virtual meetings. So as long as that stays, but I can tell you that I'll certainly look into it more,
Yeah.
report back to you.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. Yeah, you know what, you're right. Those executive orders probably still stay in effect because the courts have not gone directly back in person as
Yeah,
well.
they have not rescinded.
Exactly. Very good to know. I appreciate that. I got tired of following all of those executive orders during COVID. It was exhausting. But thank you, Mr. Grimes. I appreciate those comments. I don't see anybody else online or in person that wishes to speak. I'm sorry, correction, Mr. Duffy, come on up. And just a reminder to the council, we do have executive also before we close out, so.
Bob Duffy, 111 Merritt Avenue. I have a few comments. Number one, I want to thank the new attorney. He's really earning his pay and he's following the law, which a lot of attorneys don't. The other comment is with Sarah. When you have it on the TV, you can't hear them. Is that on purpose or? There's no voice at all. Ever.
Yeah, we've been hearing
Ever.
that for months now.
Ever.
I know people complain that they can't hear me at this meeting.
And I would think that when it's like that, it's questionable. The equity or that they're doing things right for the township. Even if they are doing things for the township right, that should be for the public to hear because they're not handling small issues. They're handling multi-million-dollar projects that affects every one of us. So I think they should be here. And the public should be able to come here and hear them or hear them on the television. Now, there's a lot of shenanigans going on. They may be legit, but it doesn't look legit. The other thing, Mr. Conti, I have a question. Is that with 100,000 pounds or tons of garbage extra last month?
Over 100 tons
Tons.
extra.
100, just 100, not 100,000.
No,
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was going to say something's wrong there, so I'll put an extra zero.
740 to 870, something like that.
Okay,
That would be a lot.
all right, thank you. The other thing is, if you can get all together and try to get an ordinance to state that when you go in front of the planning board, redevelopment board, or any board, that your property is up to date and not in violation. Now, if you get that ordinance, okay, that you turn around and you don't have to enforce it, but it's in your toolbox. Someone puts a garage up. Neighbor says, oh, he had no permit. Well, now he goes in front of the board. It's already built. And when people find out they could get away with it, it's like a cancer. It grows. You know, but if you have the ordinance, let them tear that garage down and then they'll accept your application. It's a simple thing. And you don't have to use it all the time. It's to your advantage.
Wait, hold on. Is it state law that prohibits them from being able to build something without proper permit?
Are you saying to testify before the board or to come with an application?
To accept the application,
Okay.
Oh,
to accept way before they testimony.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know. I could look into it.
I'm only saying, I have a problem. I'm in litigation now with a landowner in town. 3 years. Okay, now he wants to go in front of the planning board. He's still in violation,
But the structure was already built.
but he wants to get the approval of what he has done wrong. And I'm saying the planning board should not accept the application until his property is virgin, where it's supposed to be.
Interesting.
So
Look into that.
I'm just suggesting it. That's all I am.
Anything else, Mr. Duffy?
Huh?
Yeah, you bring up interesting stuff. Anything else?
And I want to thank everybody for listening to me. And the attorney's doing a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. All right. I don't see anybody else online. Does anybody else in public wish to speak? All right.
Will the public portion be closed?
Roll call, please, for public portion only. Oh, all in favor is okay? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. At this time, we don't want to close out because we do have to go into executive at this time for approximately, you said 1 hour? Wait, okay. I need a statement read.
Whereas Section 8 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975 permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist. Now therefore be it resolved by Mayor and Borough Council, the Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey as follows. The public portion of this meeting is hereby adjourned in order that the governing body may meet in closed private session for approximately 45 minutes to an hour to discuss the following matters: personnel and contract negotiations. Following the conclusion of said closed session, the governing body shall reconvene the open portion of this public meeting to consider any other matters which may be properly brought before it at this time.
The resolution be approved.
The nature and content of the discussion which occurs in closed session shall be made public at such time as the need for non-disclosure no longer exists. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
The resolution be approved. No, the resolution be approved on roll call vote.
A second? Second. Roll call, please.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Conti,
Yeah.
Enoha,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Zabrowski.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll return. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have a motion, please, to reconvene our regular agenda, regular meeting? Roll call, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I believe we have a motion, two motions on the table here. Oh, not yet. We're not in agenda yet. It's okay. You want to turn that around so it's not like a wall. All right, so I'll entertain a motion at this time, or any motion at this time on the table. Mary, I do think you're correct in motioning for the first thing with the test. Is there,
All right, so I will make a motion as it pertains to the acting police chief,
I think we have to do the test first.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
that we do not test to make our chief a permanent, to select a permanent chief,
Is there a second?
so that we do not test.
Not test.
Motion in there was to test.
So this motion is,
To do not require a test to select our police chief.
Do this,
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
And for the sake of the residents, maybe they know specifically what test.
You said.
Oh, the chief's test.
Yeah.
Okay.
to-
All right, so let's clean it up a little bit one more time.
So I'll make a motion. Wish I was writing this down. A motion that we do not require a test to make the final selection for our police chief.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilpersons Conti,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Anoha,
No.
Roberts.
yes,
Zabrowski.
Okay,
Now another.
All right. In that light, then I make a motion to remove the interim acting chief title and appoint Dan Plumacher as our permanent chief.
second,
roll call, please.
Conti,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Novak,
On the advice of council, I abstain.
Anoha,
No.
Roberts,
yes,
Zabrowski.
I abstain.
3 yeses, 2 abstentions, and 1 no. Passes.
Okay, it passes, ladies and gentlemen, with no other business that I see before us for this regular scheduled meeting. I want, is there a second? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to then call all to stand for a salute to our flag so we can move into our agenda meeting. As soon as the kind gentlemen's behind me are done talking, we're good? Okay, we're up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, statement of publication, please, Jessica.
Take notice that this agenda meeting of the mayor and council being held this 27th day of March, 2023 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Balca.
Here.
Conti.
Here.
Novak. Anoha.
Here.
Roberts.
here,
Zabrowski. Okay, under discussion and admin and finance, application for social affair permit received from St. Stanislaus Cuska RC Church to serve beer and wine at the annual parish carnival on June 22nd to 24th from 4 PM to 12 AM on their grounds.
Okey-dokey.
Any objection? No. Coin toss request for the corner of Washington and Ernst Road received from the Saraville Scout Troop 97 for September 23rd and 24th from 10 AM to 2 PM. Request to travel received from the following engine company number 1 to attend a golf outing on April 28, 2023 in Colts Neck. Authorization to purchase additional items for police dress uniforms from Action Uniform through New Jersey State Contract in the amount of $28,656.22 using seizure funds.
Need a resolution?
Yep. Authorization to amend section 13-11 permit dumping and fees. We need an ordinance. Authorization to issue a change order to Hunter Jersey Peterbilt for the 2021 order of 2 rear loading garbage trucks in the amount of $25,832 due to global supply cost increases. Application for a special event received from St. Stan's for their parish carnival on June 22nd to 24th. And from Majes Sadar and Community Center to hold a prayer service on April 21st at Kennedy Park from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Just to let you know, the school is closed on that day.
Okay. Yes, that's for Eid.
Yes.
I guess that's been turned over to the police department. to
Yeah,
arrange
they're
it.
aware and
Yes.
they've got it.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on all reports. I'll do the resolution, but I won't release anything until we receive all the reports. Authorization to establish the following recreation program and fees associated with said programs before care at Burks Park, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. at a fee at $85. Authorization to remove section 17-10 Saraville Community Garden. The ordinance already exists in section 2-32. When we adopted that ordinance, we never removed the old one in the other section. Authorization to approve the Saraville Community Garden bylaws and guidelines. Sean, I'm not sure. Do we need a resolution to approve those bylaws for Saraville Saraville Community Garden?
Yeah, we should do a resolution.
Okay. And that's all for me.
Okay, business administrators report.
Looking for authorization to appoint Susan Farino and Sean Jekyll as part-time clerks in the police department. They've been vetted by both the personnel director and the police administration, and they're eager to get them started.
Is it replacing somebody, Glenn, or?
This is actually, Susan is going to be assigned to do the redactions on the body cams and everything. That is just growing
Yeah,
exponentially. We
okay.
need more help there.
Yeah.
And Sean is, I believe, to replace Adrian McGill.
Oh,
Well, they moved Debbie Turner into full-time. This is to replace Debbie Turner's vacant part-time position.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Wow, that was short for you, Glenn.
I'll make it up next one.
Okay. CFO's report.
No.
In the amount of $1,713.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you very much. That's okay. I'll forgive you. Borough engineer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One item that just came up today in discussion with the Finance Department. We're currently moving forward with bidding the South Minnesink Avenue project. You may recall we got approximately $500,000 grant.
Yes.
In designing the project, Water and Sewer Department recommended upgrades to the existing water mains and sanitary sewer lines. In addition, we found storm sewer lines that are corrugated metal pipe that have deteriorated. They need to be replaced. So funding is beyond what was originally was anticipated. So in speaking with finance, it was recommended that you have a bond ordinance to appropriate additional funds rather than trying to take money from other ordinances. You have a specific ordinance for just the improvements of South Minnesink for those infrastructure repairs. So we'd like to see that introduced at the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll work on that with the
Denise?
finance department as far as cost. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very
That's all I
much.
have.
Thank
Thank
you, Jay. Borough attorney, anything?
Yeah, Mayor, just briefly, it is litigation. We're not. Status quo is still in force in terms of the applicant here, just community center, it's compliant with all the rules that are required of everybody else, either a supermarket or Wawa, and that court, the attorney is still pushing the envelope for the judge, trying to really like off sure this study application is still not complete. So seeing just the application should be complete. As I said there, it's a status quo.
I think they've been using Arleth.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They've been using Arleth, the school, so they did have a backup plan, which is good. And
Hasn't been any problem.
no,
Yeah, I've been pretty, if I may, I've been driving by pretty much every night. It's been quiet and.
yeah, I go by there. That's where I live. Yeah, surprisingly, been pretty quiet, thankfully. So,
And just one other item, the appeal that Camelot at Townhouse Camelot, what was it? Town Lake, I'm sorry. Yeah. I finished the decision on the appeal. I forwarded it to all of you for your review, and that'll be on the next agenda.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
So you'll have to, we'll do a resolution for that one.
Okay, anything else?
That's it, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. No need for executive at this time. We'll open to the public for anybody that's still left. I see no one online or in person. I'll entertain a motion, to close public portion.
Portion be closed.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, go in peace.